Hey guys, it's Brianna from Briannalisaphotography. This is episode 4 of my new mini-series called Brianna's Critiques, where I critique your photos to make you a better photographer slash model. Today was a request or a submission of a guy by the name of Wallif Woods, and he wanted me to critique these 3 photos for him and see what he can do better and stuff like that. So I'm going to go right in. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this. Okay, so this first photo is of him in a red shirt, and looks like he has ripped shorts, ripped capris. Okay, I like the pose. I would have had his chin a little bit more down. I do not like the shadows I see on his face. I don't know where that's coming from necessarily, but I would have used the reflector on the other side because his eye and on the right side of his face is a little bit dark. So I would have had a reflector on that side to make that side of his face brighter, especially his eye, because from far away it kind of looks like he has a black eye. So that's for the face. I love the hair. I love the arm positioning. He did a very good job putting his arms like in a good place. And I know that he's slouching a little bit, but in this case, that's okay. I wish that his right hand though would have been a little bit more softer on his thigh. The left one, his left one that's resting on his thigh is doing amazing, but the one on the right, his hand is kind of like this. I would have liked it to see it more like this, you know, kind of soft, actually touching his thigh, you know. And for me, I don't really like the whole ripped pants, ripped jeans, ripped capris, ripped skirts type thing. I don't really like that because it's not very presentable in professional photos and it just doesn't really look right. So I would give that a correction. Please don't wear ripped pants or jeans. It's gonna look so much more, the photo's gonna look so much more clean and nicer and more professional if it's just regular capris, regular jeans, regular skirts, stuff like that, instead of anything ripped or damaged. And for this purple sign in the back, I would have either taken out the words I edited out, but in this case I would probably crop it to where you can just see the purple instead of the words, because it's a bit distracting and it's not, I know it's not part of the photo. Like if it was part of the photo I wouldn't mind, but it's not really. I love the tone that this person edited in, and I love the green in the background. The left side of the photo is a little dark in the back, but we could always lighten that up later. But those were my critiques for this photo. Okay, so this next photo is of Wallif standing. It seems like a castle. I'm not sure, but this reminds me of a castle, and the first thing I noticed isn't even him. I just noticed the cars in the background and the pole standing right next to him and almost right behind his head right there. You always, when you're a photographer taking a photo, you always want to make sure, and also the model too, always make sure that nothing is right behind you, because it's not going to look very good in the photo where something is sticking out of your head. And when we reviewed our first photo in our first episode, there was a girl that had water coming from her head because she was in front of the fountain, and that didn't look great. So that's my first critique for that one. I don't know what he's holding in his hand, but I would like him to interact with it more, like actually pose with whatever is in his hand. I can't really tell what it is. I love the wristband so much. It's just, it complements the outfit well. It's just black and jeans. The bracelet looks black and white. I really love that. I love the highlight. It's a little bit blown out, but it's a nice highlight behind his head and like behind his hair in the glow. and beside his neck is a little bit blown out, but that's always fixable. And I don't like having cars in the background of my photos, like how I talked about in my last episode. And I would have just, it's very, very hard to edit cars out, especially like this, so I would have went somewhere else and like where there's no poles. And yes, I don't really like the shadow on the ground, but then again, that's normal. And I would have had his legs separate because his front leg is covering the back leg, and that's a really good pose for women, but for men, not really. Doesn't really make you look that dominant. So those are my corrections for that photo. This last photo is of him while standing, which seems like a town center. Right off the bat, I can see the photographer's shadow in the background, and that's not very professional. So I love the editing of this photo. I love how the sky looks very blue. It doesn't look blown out like how it usually does sometimes. I don't like people in the background, a lot of photo bombers. And I know it's very hard to take photos like this with no one in the background in the middle of like a town center, but I would have went somewhere else in the town center, a little bit more photogenic and with less people, so you wouldn't get that. But again, I can't really make out what is in his hand, but if it's supposed to be in the photo, I would like him to actually like pose with it and interact with it as like a prop for him. And I don't really like the pose that much. I feel like it's not very, I feel like he could have done a different pose, maybe something like crossing the legs or with his hand in his hair, maybe looking away. And if the model's looking down, then I suggest the photographer goes down, because since he's a male, it would look like a more dominant photo if the photographer shot it from down below up into his face. But other than that, I love the editing of this photo. It's great, and I love the scenery. Like, it looks like a castle in the background. It looks so pretty. But yeah, thank you for watching this episode of Brianna's Critiques. Make sure you subscribe to this channel for more content like this. And if you want to submit your photos, submit them to briannalisaphotography through DM on Instagram, or just email your photos to me so I can critique them on a special episode at briannalisaphotography@icloud.com. Not iCloud, Outlook.com. Bye guys.